For as long as I can remember, I've been a perfectionist. It's like a badge I wore proudly. The girl who did everything right. The one who made sure every detail was in place. Who always had her homework done, her life planned out, and everything polished and neat. I was proud of my perfectionism at first. It made me feel in control, like I had my life together when I looked at others who seemed to be struggling. But looking back now, I realized that chasing perfection wasn't making me better. It was just making me exhausted. When I was younger, I thought perfection was the key to everything. If I was perfect, then I could avoid failure, avoid disappointment, avoid judgment. I thought if I did everything right, people would love me, admire me, and respect me. I wanted to be the best at everything: school, sports, friendships, everything. I wanted to prove that I could do it all and do it well. But the truth is, perfection was suffocating me. It was this invisible weight that followed me everywhere, a voice in the back of my mind telling me that if something wasn't flawless, then I had failed. And that voice was always there, louder in moments of doubt, urging me to push harder, to do more, to never stop until I reached this impossible standard of perfection. As I grew older, it didn't get easier. It only became more intense. The stakes were higher. High school was about getting into the best college. College was about landing the best internship. And then, after graduation, I had to get the perfect job, make the perfect salary, and have the perfect life. The funny thing is, the more I chased perfection, the more miserable I became. The more I tried to make everything look perfect on the outside, the more I felt like I was failing inside. The pressure to keep up this flawless image, this perfect persona, was draining. I was constantly stressed, constantly on edge, and worst of all, I couldn't seem to enjoy the moments I was working so hard to create. Because when you're obsessed with making everything perfect, you forget to actually live it. And then, it happened. I reached a breaking point. I remember it clearly. I had just gotten back from a work event, exhausted and feeling like I had nothing left to give. I had been running on empty for months, constantly working late, trying to please everyone, trying to be perfect in every area of my life. That night, I sat down on the floor of my apartment, stared at the pile of to-dos that never seemed to get any smaller, and realized something. I am so tired of trying to be perfect. I don't know why that moment stuck with me so strongly, but it did. I finally said to myself, what am I really doing all of this for? Why am I pushing myself this hard? For the first time in my life, I let myself stop trying to be perfect. I let go of that suffocating ideal I'd held on to for so long. And something shifted in me. It wasn't instant, but I started to see things differently. I started to embrace mistakes as part of the process. I stopped looking at failure as something to avoid at all costs, and instead, I started to see it as an opportunity for growth. I allowed myself to make mistakes without beating myself up for them. I started asking for help when I needed it, which was a huge step for me because asking for help always felt like a sign of weakness. But I realized that asking for help didn't make me less capable, it made me stronger. I also started giving myself permission to be imperfect. I would leave a project unfinished if it meant I could spend time doing something I actually enjoyed. I began to let go of the notion that every part of my life needed to be carefully curated to match some ideal image. I let myself fail, and surprisingly, nothing catastrophic happened. I realized that life was richer when I wasn't so focused on getting everything perfect. It was when I started to embrace imperfection that I really began to enjoy the small moments. The moments I had been too busy to notice when I was chasing perfection. And then there was the realization that no one else was holding me to this perfect standard, except for me. No one was scrutinizing every little flaw the way I was. My friends didn't care if I showed up without makeup. My family didn't mind if I made a mistake. The only person who was holding me to an unrealistic standard was myself. And once I recognized that, I started to let go of the expectations I had placed on myself. Letting go of perfection didn't mean I stopped caring about my work or my relationships. It didn't mean I became complacent. What it meant was that I gave myself the grace to be human. I started focusing on progress instead of perfection. Instead of fixating on what was wrong, I started celebrating what was right. I learned that it was okay to be messy sometimes, that there is beauty in imperfection, that mistakes are a natural part of growing, and that nothing in life is truly perfect, no matter how much we try to make it so. I also learned that no one is going to remember the times I got everything right. They'll remember the times I showed up, the times I laughed, the times I made memories, and the times I was real. The year I stopped chasing perfection was the year I grew up. I stopped living in the shadow of an impossible standard and started living for myself. I learned that my worth isn't defined by how perfect I am, but by how much I'm willing to learn, grow, and show up as my true self. I learned that life isn't about being flawless, it's about being authentic. I'm still not perfect, and I'm okay with that. I'm not striving for perfection anymore. I'm striving to be present, to be kind to myself, and to show up as the best version of myself, flaws and all. And that has made all the difference. Letting go of perfection didn't just change how I viewed myself, it changed how I saw the world around me. I learned that imperfection isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. And if I could go back and tell my younger self anything, it would be this: you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. My confession reflects the journey of a 24-year-old woman learning to let go of perfectionism, recognizing the negative impact it had on her life, and embracing the freedom that comes with imperfection. It's a relatable and empowering message, suitable for a family audience or anyone struggling with the pressure to be perfect.